What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? Welcome to Monday's episode. I believe this is 329. I've been getting pretty good at guessing the number right. So definitely continue to tune in. So Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesdays is our discussions. And then Fridays we talk about everything else. So non-cybersecurity related, movies, books, TV shows, things of that nature. So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week to listen to all the variety of things we talk about. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article is from Vice.com, and this one is titled "Ransomware Group Claims Hack of Amazon's Ring." It's written by Joseph Cox and Jason Kebler, could be Koebler. Sorry if I mispronounced it, Joe. But ransomware gang AlphaV, right? We've heard about these folks before, right? And they claim to have hacked Ring, which Ring told Motherboard, which is Vice's kind of like their board, their I don't want to say editors, but people that work on their stories. Ring says they didn't have a breach. They say they don't have a breach of their own systems, but they said that there was a third-party vendor that's been hit with ransomware. But AlphaV is like, nah, we're gonna call your bluff on this one, right? So AlphaV, which is used Black Cat, they go. What they ended up doing was they ended up hacking, and they just they lock files. You know what I mean? Is what they did. They have a website where they shame people and they say, "Hey, we got your stuff. Pay us, or we're going to put it out there for everybody." Yeah, like I said, Ring is denying it. Right? They're saying no, it's not our stuff. It's a third-party vendor. We assure you, your information is safe. They put it out there, and there was a link right to an Amazon Slack channel, and it says, "Do not discuss anything about this. The right security teams are engaged." Right. This is from Ring supposedly. So Ring is saying no, we didn't get hacked. AlphaV says yes. They got discussions that have been leaked saying yes, it is. So it's not clear what AlphaV has access to. Right. So they told it's not clear what data AlphaV has access to, but in a statement, Ring told Motherboard, "We currently have no indications that Ring has experienced a ransomware event." And again, they're saying, yes, it was a third party. It wasn't us. They don't have access to customer records, but AlphaV is known for doing this, right? So what's a little worrying about this, though, is that Ring has had some issues before, right? So them being truthful when it comes to certain things is a little bit of a thing to look out for, right? So Ring has had they've had like relationships with police departments in the past, and they've actually had it to the point where they're able to, I don't want to say change statements that go out, but they're able to approve them, right? So there was a time where Ring whenever there was some type of news release that was coming out from police departments, what they would do is they'd edit the release and they'd remove words like surveillance and security cameras, right, to describe the products, because it just has a negative connotation. So already Ring doesn't have they're not known for their truthfulness, so to speak. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying they're not being truthful by removing those phrases, but what it is that you don't know what to believe with them. So if you got a hacking group saying, "Yeah, we got you," and they're putting it out on this website, like, I don't know why not believe that? You know what I mean? So Ring's got some explaining to do, right? Because there's always public trust. It's one of those things, right? So the incident with the police and changing up the statements, that was like 3-4 years ago. So it's one of those things where people may have forgotten, but now it's all going to come to the forefront, right, with this coming out. But yeah, AlphaV struck again. Black Cat struck again. Ring devices, if I was to guess, one of the most popular security devices out there, right? Especially if it's backed by Amazon, right? Amazon kind of runs the show on a lot of stuff out there, right? So we'll see what comes of it, right? Like whether or not Ring's being truthful, whether or not AlphaV is being truthful. But what's your thoughts on this, Ryan?
Yeah, in the past, Ring has kind of shaped the narrative, so to speak. Like they they do like to keep themselves in a good light, and because it's profitable, right? Like I believe they are the number one um, home security doorbell and surveillance. Like that's what it is, a surveillance device. I had one for 3 years, I want to say. Like so when I moved, the only reason I no longer use it is because one came with the house, right? It's a different manufacturer who who wasn't already installed on the door, but I still am part of the network. So from the customer facing side, it's actually pretty cool because if something happens in your neighborhood, a neighbor can share it. Like Florida, we have wildlife, right? So there was like a cougar at one point was over in one of the communities because there was like a wildlife preserve right behind them. Like no, not a big one, but big enough. And it was kind of stalking through people's front yards. That's how bold it had become. So it was no longer in the preserve. It was like walking the streets. So like I would get a notification like, hey, listen, it'll post the neighborhood and it'll show the picture of the thing like walking past the camera, setting it off, and then the next neighbors and like so there was like 3 or 4 different reports coming out. It was like, hey, it's in the neighborhood, like keep your dogs in the house, things of that nature. So it is helpful, but the downside of it being like if it is hacked, right, or compromised, you can have people who have access um to build out oh man, what's the phrase when you kind of figure out when somebody's going to work and when they're coming home, something
Opposite.
of life, pattern of life
Oh,
or something like that.
you're talking
Yeah,
about like, yeah,
yeah, it's pretty dangerous, right? Like if somebody does have access, they can kind of figure out your movements and how you do things. They can SWAT you. Remember that was a thing for a while where people were getting the police called on them and they were using the cameras to talk to the police as though there was trouble inside the house and the person who was just sitting there minding their business. In one instance, it was a father that was shot in his dining room. Like they were corresponding with the police outside using the ring camera to say that he's inside harming the family. So they kicked the door in. The family, very startled, at their table, made some sudden movements and they killed the father. Um, and law enforcement is like, we thought this was happening, and then the family is like, we didn't call you, so you know there's second and third order effects to these surveillance cameras being compromised. Now, is it actually a thing? I believe it to be a thing because why would this ransomware gang go through the trouble putting it on their site to shame Ring in order to extort them for more money if they didn't have some kind of foothold in there of some sort? So even if it is a third party vendor, I mean, it's still part of the Ring enterprise. So I would be nervous to see what comes out next, right? Like how big of a foothold do they have? Do they just have PII, which is still, pretty important, or do they have access to surveillance, right? Can they look at cameras and listen to people's I can't think of the words. Words are escaping me. Inside their home, like speakers and things of that nature. Who's to say? So it is a little worrisome.
So does Ring have cameras that are like on the inside of houses too? Or is it
Yeah,
just
you
doorbell
can.
cameras?
Yeah, like nanny cameras and stuff like that. They sell those too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can get your whole house wired up through them. So that will be interesting to see what comes out in the future. Right? I'm just speculating. Like we don't know if that's the case. It could just be like just in quotation marks be people's customer information. So addresses, potentially names, credit card numbers, things of that nature. Or it could be something more nefarious, right? We just don't know. But Amazon's probably like, you need to figure this out because we bought you. Because at one point, wasn't there a thing where didn't Shaq promote Ring? Like when they were first starting up, was he in commercials? Was
That
that
I'm
a
not
thing?
sure of. Yeah,
I want to say years ago when Ring was independent, when they were first blowing up, I think Shaq was in those commercials because Shaq will endorse everything. So I think he was like a spokesman for Ring at one point. I would have to Google that though.
when I hear Shaq and endorsement, I automatically think the general. That's the first thing that comes to
Everything, man.
mind.
He does insurance. He does pizza. He took after Magic Johnson's playbook. Magic Johnson, remember Magic Johnson was movie theaters and rent a center and anything you could think, car washes.
He was
He
with
was everywhere,
Starbucks. He's with Starbucks too.
man. So hey, I'm not hating on the game. I don't know how we got here, but we did. So, but I would just say, just be wary, stay posted to find out what's going on with this in the near future, because you might have to change your settings, or you might have to pull a patch. We don't know just yet. So we'll see what finally gets announced by Ring or Amazon once they figure out, well, if they've been breached or not. So, but definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday are topics. Wednesday is our discussion. We have a really good one this week, every week, but definitely tune in for this one. And then Fridays, we talk about everything else. So movies, books, games, TV shows, all that good stuff. So with that being said, stay safe, stay secure. Oh, and tune into all of the social media goes by our name. And you can find me at Rise Up, or not Rise Up, I'm sorry, RyRy Security Guy on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and Twitter. That's RYRY Security Guy. Man, it's Monday. I'm rusty. Take care.